Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel and the Change Your Life Through Posture video series. All right, so per usual, if you haven't already seen my prior videos, please click the Change Your Life Through Posture playlist link down below. Click on the introduction video and just keep watching all the way until you get back to this video. That way we are all on the same page. Okay, so before I get to the meat of today's video, I would like to have two little celebrations I'd like to share with you. Okay, first is the really exciting news that I finally have, for the first time in my life, my very own ponytail. Yay! Is that awesome or what? So finally, my hair is now long enough that I can create my own ponytail. I was very excited about that. Also, the second part is you will notice that I am actually working on my physical posture. I'm actually working on the pole posture technique and my underlying manifestation. So throughout this video, you will be seeing me making those adjustments to continue to improve my posture. So if none of that makes sense to you, make sure you watch the video that I just shot before this one, which is the listening to your spine video, and this will all make sense. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on specifically grief and loss, and this is a big one for me. This is one that has significance because it revolves around my own personal grief and loss. And a while back, about 4 years ago, I lost my mom, Jo. There's my mom right there. And it was devastating. Sorry, it was devastating. It was a terrible loss, full of emptiness, full of anger, full of pain, full of every emotion you could imagine. And obviously to this day, it still affects me. Obviously to this day, it's been part of my entire process as a human being. So I am now changing my life through posture. So I'm going to reveal to you guys one of the methods that I now use, which is helping me a great deal with coping with grief and loss. All right. So first thing I want to point out is there are many, many different ways that you can experience loss. But today I really want to focus on, because of my own personal experiences, I want to focus on the grief and loss of a loved one. I want to put out right away, I am not in any way a mental health guru. I am not trying to be a mental health guru. I'm just a guy who's out there as a performer seeking ways to cope with my own grief and loss. And I'm hoping that if something I share helps others, then I feel like I've made a huge difference on this earth, just in that alone. Okay? So the most important thing I have found is that you cannot prevent grief and loss from existing. It exists in your world. It's there for a reason. You lost someone, you're going to have a reaction, right? What you can do, and I'm learning, and I have been doing from the beginning and just didn't know, is that you can learn how to empower your reaction to grief and loss, and how to take it and turn it into something more manageable and something that is more self-loving. I know, oh, look at you, now you have a big ponytail, you're a hippie and everything's great. No, everything isn't great. Grief is not great. Loss is not great. It never will be. And in my world has changed forever. So I'm working through, instead of around, I choose to work through my grief. And I'm going to share with you how I've done it, and I hope that it helps you, as I said. It's really important to acknowledge that ignoring grief and loss, pretending it's not there, is simply just going to delay its response, the response inside of you. It's actually going to probably make things a little bit harder because it's going to build up and it's going to sit there and it's going to manifest in different ways. And many of those ways usually turn out to be destructive. So I'm posing that there's another way, there's another avenue that you can take so that you can still not only survive your grief and loss, but live through it, not around it, and not hide from it. Okay, so how am I doing this? Well, first of all, I'm realizing that what I do on a consistent basis is the same thing I've been doing all this time. And it falls right into the same category as all the things I've been talking about. I have this superpower. I have this power that at any moment in my life, I can think, feel, and take action on anything around me. And when I do, it actually changes the world around me. So I can take grief and loss and I can harness it in my own way. And I can turn it around and I can use it for good. So when you enter the stage of grief, something happens, okay? So it's usually something that happened on the outside around you, or it could be something on the inside, but something happens that triggers a response from you. And when it triggers the response, or at least for me, it manifests in the form of either despair or sorrow or emptiness. I mean, I have them all on a consistent basis. And when that happens, in that exact moment, immediately after that, there's some kind of either image or a feeling that goes on inside me. And I call this my anchoring moment. And this anchoring moment actually works hand in hand with my grief. So this anchor attaches itself to my grief and then just keeps pulling me down. And then I just have to keep feeling like, okay, how am I going to get out of this? Because this is really devastating. It's overwhelming. It actually debilitates you. It actually stops you in your tracks. I am now using my own technique and my own power, my superpower that I know I have, my ability to think, feel, and take action. And I identify right away, what is it that I'm feeling? Okay, so I've got sorrow going on or possibly I'm feeling empty right now. And I see the image that's connected to it. And I see my mom in that specific shirt. And I feel like, I'm never going to get to see her like that again. What a terrible feeling for me, a terrible thing to have to feel knowing I won't ever have that moment with her again. So how am I going to get around this? And how am I going to get through this? More importantly, I don't believe really in getting around anything. I believe in living through it. So when I have my grief, I feel it. I allow it to exist and I live through it. And then I take action. And what's the action that you can take? Well, here's what I do. I immediately remember this, okay? I remember this moment because this moment's going to come back in my world. It's going to come back and keep trying to haunt me. And each time that it does, I now turn it into something else. I now go, okay, I get that you're here, but I'm going to turn you into something else. I'm now going to go out. I'm going to find something that has to do with my mom, whether it's like a physical article of clothing, whether it's something physically like a mug or a picture of her that I can find online or find on my computer. I'm going to go back and I'm going to take one of those things and I'm going to get creative and turn it into something else. I can take the mug and I can turn it into a little vase and put flowers in there for her. I can take my picture frame and I can turn it into a collage, or I can just turn it into a nice big picture in a frame and I can use a nice cool border around it, a border that's the same color that is her favorite color. So I could do this, all of these things that I do, and turn those little things into magical moments that comfort me, things that she gave to me as a gift. And I create those things and then I'll display them in honor of my mom. The whole point is I'm doing it for her. I'm doing it in her honor. Not for me, but for her. And I'm taking that moment of grief and I'm empowering my reaction and I'm turning it into something amazing and beautiful because that's what she deserves. I'm doing it in honor of her, not for grief. Grief doesn't deserve an iota of my time, but she deserves all of my time. But the amazing part is that when you look around or when you look in your computer and you look at all those things, you can say, look at all the things I've created, all the wonderful things that have come out of this amazing person who affected my life in such an incredible way. And by doing so, I'm honoring them. And by doing so, I'm basically giving grief the middle finger and saying, you don't deserve my power anymore. You don't deserve my energy. This person deserves my energy. And when I have grief every time, I'm going to turn you into another wonderful project every single time. It's a coping technique? Absolutely. Am I avoiding grief by doing so? Absolutely not. I'm facing it head on. I'm allowing myself to grieve. I'm allowing myself to feel it and say, this hurts worse than anything. But in spite of you, I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something that I can do that'll get me out of that stage and bring me to a better place and help others in the long run. Like right now, I'm hoping that what I'm sharing with you may be a technique you can use that comforts you in some way and helps you to get a little further along through all of your grieving stages that you're going to go through, because it's inevitable at this point. So not only am I going to use grief for that, I, as a performer, now have a new tool to use grief for as well. And for me as an actor, I'm going to keep grief right there in my back pocket. And whenever I need it, if I have to create a song, or if I have a movie that I'm in, or if I have a TV show, or if I have something that requires me to connect to that portion of that character, I have a mountain. I have a mountain of resources, and I'm going to use them. And you'll get to see them if I get into something really big, or when I start my songs, you'll be seeing it in that. So my mom, Jo, will always be with me. And I'm thrilled to know that while she's gone, she could still be a major part of my life. And I love you, Mom, and I will honor you every day. I appreciate all the time that you guys have spent with supporting me through all of these videos, and I really do hope that what I just posted now has some effect in a positive way for you. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.